The Velthari had no word for regret. They had words for loss, for mourning, for the long silence that follows a broken thing. But regret, the specific ache of a choice made and unmade too late, that concept did not exist in their language until the day they watched the Galactic Council turn its back on Earth. Elder Sova remembered it clearly. She had been young then, barely past her first century, sitting in the observation gallery of the council chamber as the vote was read aloud. Species by species, the flags went dark on the board. The Drenati, the Corvi, the Peluan, collective. One after another, each civilization casting its ballot to withdraw recognition, to pull its fleets from the Sol system, to leave humanity to whatever fate the Keth Dominion chose to deliver. The Keth had been patient. They always were. They had waited for the council to fracture, and then they had simply asked, politely, formally, with all the correct diplomatic language, that Earth be designated a contested zone, a place no one would defend. The council had agreed, 43 species, and not one had said no, except the Velthari. Sova had watched her own elder at the time, Elder Duvan, rise from his seat when the final count was announced. He had been old even then, his bioluminescent frills dimmed with age, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had already decided what history would record of him. The Velthari stand with Earth, he had said, just that, nothing more. It had not saved humanity from what followed. The Keth came anyway, and the war was brutal and long, and cost both sides more than either had planned. But the Velthari had sent 3 hospital ships, 2 cargo convoys loaded with medical supplies, and a single diplomatic envoy that spent 4 years arguing in every neutral chamber that Earth deserved to survive. It had not been enough to win the war, but it had been something. And humans, Sova had learned over the long decades since, remembered something. The distress signal came from the Velthari colony ship Sova's Reach, named after her, an honor she had never grown comfortable with while it was transiting the Brenner corridor. The ship carried 400 colonists, bound for the Velthari's 3rd outer settlement. It also carried, by terrible misfortune, a cargo manifest that the Shurvak crime syndicate had decided was worth killing for. 3 Shurvak vessels dropped from fold space and disabled the Sova's Reach in under 6 minutes. They were efficient, they were well armed, and they were, by all calculations, completely beyond any Velthari response force that could reach the corridor in time. The distress signal broadcast on all channels. The Velthari home fleet was 11 hours away. The nearest council patrol was 8. Every calculation said the same thing. By the time help arrived, the cargo would be gone, and the colonists would be dead. The signal had been transmitting for 40 seconds when the humans answered. Commander Yunji Ho heard the signal from the bridge of the Heus Dauntless, a heavy escort cruiser currently running a standard patrol arc through the outer Brenner lanes. She did not need to check the registry. She knew the Velthari colony designation. She knew what the Sova's Reach was carrying. She had also read, in her required historical coursework at the Academy, the full transcript of Elder Duvan's speech the day the Council abandoned Earth. She had read it twice. Navigation, she said. Plot and intercept to the Sova's Reach. Best possible speed. Her first officer, Lieutenant Kale Ramos, looked up from his console. Commander, we're 1 ship. There are 3 Shurvak vessels on that signal. Our response window is... I know the window, Kale. He looked at her for a moment. Then he nodded and turned back to his station. Intercept plotted. 18 minutes at maximum. Burn. Then burn. The Dauntless swung hard onto the new heading, its drives flaring white against the dark of the corridor. Yoon opened a channel to the Sova's Reach as the ship accelerated. Velthari vessel, this is Commander Yunji Ho of the Heus Dauntless. We are inbound to your position. 18 minutes. Hold on. Static. Then a voice, young, frightened, speaking, accented, galactic, standard. Commander Yoon, this is Cadet Vela, acting communications officer aboard Sova's Reach. Our captain is injured. The Shurvak have begun docking procedures on our port side. We do not have 18 minutes. Yoon did not let the weight of that sentence settle on her. There was no time. Vela, listen carefully. Do you have any maneuvering capability? Partial thrusters. They disabled our main drive. Can you rotate the ship? A pause. Yes. Then, rotate. Put your port side against the debris field on your starboard. Make docking harder. Buy me 12 minutes. Buy. Another pause. Longer. Then, understood. Commander. The channel crackled with a sound of the ship moving. The Dauntless dropped out of maximum burn 6 kilometers from the Sova's reach and immediately opened fire. It was not elegant. Yun had not had time for elegant. She had come in hard and loud, broadcasting full identification on every channel, human vessel, military registry, weapons hot, because the Shurvak were criminals, not soldiers, and criminals performed a specific calculation when a military ship appeared. 2 of the 3 vessels cut their docking clamps and ran immediately. The third, apparently operated by someone either very brave or very foolish, held position and returned fire. Kale was already tracking it. They're trying to complete the transfer. 30 seconds, Commander. Kale, don't give them 30 seconds. The Dauntless absorbed 2 hits shield damage, nothing structural, and put 4 precision shots into the Shurvak vessel's drive assembly. The return fire stopped. The docking clamp released. The third ship drifted, venting atmosphere, and its crew began broadcasting a surrender signal before Yoon had even finished reading the damage report. She let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. Hail the Sova's reach. The channel opened. For a moment, there was only silence, and then the same young voice from before. Commander Yoon, they are gone. They're gone, she confirmed. Is your captain alive? Yes, injured, but alive. She is asking, she wants to know who to thank. She wants a name to put in the formal record. Yoon considered that. She thought about the academy, about the transcript she had read twice, about an old Velthari elder who had stood up in a chamber full of silence and said 6 words that cost him nothing except everything. Tell her no name is necessary, Yoon said. Tell her the Velthari stood with us when everyone else sat down. We were always going to come. A long silence on the channel. Then, Vela's voice came back, quieter than before, careful, like someone carrying something fragile. She says she will record the name anyway. She says debts should have faces. Elder Sova received the report 14 hours later, in her chambers on Velthari Prime. She read it 3 times. The details were clean. 1 human vessel, 3 Shurvak ships, a brief engagement, no Velthari casualties, 400 colonists, safe. The commander had declined formal recognition. She sat with the report for a long time. Outside her window, the lights of the capital moved, in their slow evening rhythm bioluminescent banners, drifting in the wind. The old quarter glowing amber, the memorial towers lit in the colors of the dead. One of those towers had been built for the humans who had died in the Keth War. The Velthari had built it quietly, without announcement, because Duvan had said that grief did not require an audience. She wondered if Commander Yun had ever seen it. She pulled up the file on her console and added a single line to the formal record, below the tactical summary and above the diplomatic correspondence. The Velthari stood with Earth when it was left alone, and when Sova's reach called into the dark, a human answered before the signal had finished speaking. This is what it means to pay a debt. This is what it means to remember. She closed the file. Outside, the memorial towers burned on in the dark, patient and bright, the way all honest things eventually become, not because anyone demanded it, but because some things simply refuse to go out.